Coming from NPR, Trump official targeting Jan 6 investigators worked on those cases himself. You know, I've had questions about this gentleman since around this time last year during the criminal trial. But, you know, as always, let's not jump to conclusions. Let's get into this. After a mob of Donald Trump supporters violently stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, Emil Bovee led efforts by federal prosecutors in Manhattan to help the FBI aggressively investigate, identify, and arrest rioters from the New York region. Now, in my previous account, anybody who followed along knows the breakdown that I gave of all the attorneys, and I stated that he used to work with the DOJ, and people were coming out and stating that he was one of those that was up early, you know, stayed up late, was very involved, was very like, hey, let's get the ball rolling, let's get these people rounded up, and then he got with Trump. And his arguments on behalf of Trump were there was a little weak sauce. I had some questions. I still have I have more questions now. I really do. 4 years later, Bovee is now the acting number 2 official in President Trump's Justice Department. He has used that perch to denounce the Capitol riot investigation and spearhead a purge of prosecutors and potentially of FBI agents who worked on January 6 cases. I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be. But this is giving straddling the fence, double secret agent stuff, like putting together his own task force behind the scenes, like cool hard calculation. I could be wrong, but I don't know. The disconnect between Bovee's aggressive stance to hold rioters accountable for the January 6 assault and his current hostility around the investigation has troubled some former colleagues. It's a head scratcher. At no point did I ever hear him or anybody else express concern about these investigations and these arrests that we were making, said Christopher O'Leary, who was a top counterterrorism official in the FBI's New York field office at the time. We never heard any pushback from him or anybody in his office. The Department of Justice didn't immediately respond to questions about the disconnect between Bovee's role in New York and his actions since entering the Department of Justice. When the January 6 attack happened, Bovee was the co-chief of the Terrorism and International Narcotics Unit at the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. Is Bovee his new Rudy? Because we know Rudy switched partisanship according to who was in office and who could give him power. But Bovee is actually a good attorney. I know his track record with Trump doesn't show that, but his track record outside of Trump is pretty impeccable. I don't know. In that role, he helped supervise all of the office's work related to the Capitol attack, directing prosecutors to support the FBI in the investigation and overseeing efforts to obtain things like search warrants, according to O'Leary and a former prosecutor who worked with Bovee. Like O'Leary, the former prosecutor said Bovee never voiced any reservations about the riot investigation. To the contrary, the former prosecutor said Bovee gave strong, direct encouragement to the line prosecutors to aggressively pursue the investigation, legal process, support FBI, etc. The person spoke on condition of anonymity in order to describe the office's internal dynamics. As the unit co-chief, Bovee also took part in weekly meetings of the Joint Terrorism Task Force in New York, which gave him an overview of cases and operations in the New York region, including January 6 investigations. Bovee and his team, O'Leary said, were intimately involved in all of these cases and very knowledgeable of it in regards to the investigation. I always had a good working relationship with him. He was impressed with him as an attorney, as a trustworthy partner, as a committed professional to our counterterrorism cases, O'Leary said. But his view has changed in recent weeks in light of what Bovee has done since moving into the top job in Trump's Justice Department. I'm really surprised and disappointed by his actions, how he's pursuing FBI agents and employees who were conducting investigations in the same manner that they would have conducted any investigation, O'Leary said. Because by their own litmus test, Bovee shouldn't be where Bovee is. But there's more I'll attach on the end. And as always, y'all let me know your thoughts in the comment section because I have some thinking to do.